All right now, a potentially momentous vote in France is underway. These images are coming into our control room of a polling station in Paris right now. The reports are that voter turnout appears to be the same or higher as it was in 2012, when 80% of French voters took to the polls to elect Francois Hollande in the first round. But this is a much closer race in 2017. The top contenders are all within the margin of error. Canada watching this vote closely. Depending on who wins, we could see the disruption of our free trade deal with Europe, or it could even portend the end of an integrated and unified European community. The election is thought to be that significant. Before we end our Sunday Scrum, I want to get our Sunday Scrum's thoughts on this election, the rise of populism in France, what it might mean for the future of Europe. And let's take it to our panelists right now. Susan, your thoughts on the French election and the rise of populism there?
Zut alors. No, just kidding. That's
Are you
about
really?
as profound as I get. I am not going to set my hair on fire until we actually have the outcome. I'm not convinced that Marie Le Pen, I mean, we're so far away, but I'd be shocked if Marie Le Pen actually made the kind of gains that some are predicting. I think they'll find some middle ground.
Didn't you say that about Donald Trump?
I was totally wrong. Yeah.
John.
Yeah, well, join the club on that.
But France isn't America, right? France is not America. Anyway.
No, but many of the problems are the same and worse. France has a stagnant economy, has had now for a couple of decades. 50% of the economy is now owned by the government. You have a very closed French elite that has run the place, well, forever. And you have an increasingly restive population that's angry and upset about this, about immigration,
unemployment, over 10%.
Unemployment, and about the European Union, which really isn't to blame, but never mind. And then you have that terrible thing that happens when situations get out of control, in which the extreme left meets the extreme right. And that's the real origin of dangerous populism. You have Marine Le Pen on the right. You now have a candidate who's essentially a Marxist on the left, both polling very well. That said, political movements reach a peak and then they ebb. Obviously, populism has been on the rise now for several years, through Brexit in Great Britain, through Donald Trump in the United States. At some point, it's going to crest. And after it crests, it's going to ebb. We're just waiting for the darn thing to crest.
But the crest, it's interesting because you look at many of the Western European countries right now, and they either have populist government, let's say in the case of Hungary, or where you're looking at not only elements in the government, but elements in the opposition, so that going forward, you will likely have a populist government in place in these countries. That's got to be a problem for the future of a unified Europe. And in the case of France, Marine Le Pen is saying if she gets in, she'll have a referendum, likely on a Frexit, and will also, she doesn't like the fact that Canada has this free trade deal with Europe. So that could be, all our free trade deals could be unraveling at the same time.
Yeah, it's a tremendous danger, but unfortunately it's a necessary danger. The only way to discredit populism is, ironically, to elect populist governments, because they invariably govern incompetently. Witness Donald Trump in the United States, and witness what's going on in Eastern Europe. You know, populists promise everything. They get into power and they realize that very little of what they promise is possible, and then the electorate becomes disillusioned with them. That's what's happening now, and I think will happen in the years ahead. But it's a dangerous interim.
You know, a lot of people saying anything could happen in this election. That don't be surprised. Dr. Fawaz Gergis is watching this very closely from the London School of Economics. And Susan, he was saying you could wake up tomorrow, Marine Le Pen. He wouldn't be surprised if she was the new president of France.
He should probably just take a Valium and wait. You know, I mean, I'm not sure that we're there yet, and who knows. I'm just unconvinced. Yes, they're definitely showing their muscle, but I don't think France is ready to leap over the brink at this point.
Do you think
it seems unlikely?
John, we were talking before the break, and you were mentioning, and Susan as well, that there's a populism streak here in Canada that the Prime Minister is talking about. Susan, you don't think it's there?
Well, it's there, but it's marginal. It's you know, we haven't heard much from Kelly Leitch lately, by the way, have we? You know, not to say that it's not there, but I think we do risk exaggerating it. Look, you know what the marginal movement that's surging in Canada right now is? The Green Party in British Columbia. They're at something like 17% in the provincial election that's going on out there. So yes, there are challenges to the complacent status quo, but they're not all coming from the extreme right. And they're not necessarily, and there are other forces that may be in the end more powerful.
John, very quickly, I need a 10-second or less from you.
Come back in a few hours and we'll know. But by the way, there is a second round. Unless Marine Le Pen or somebody else gets 50%, which they won't, we'll have a runoff. And it's in the runoff that we'll see really who's dominant.